So, I'm sitting here staring at a blinking cursor and my coffee has gone completely cold. Stone cold. Like the look in Drew Kane's eyes about 2 hours ago. And honestly, I don't even know where to start. You think you know this town? You think you know the players. We all thought we knew Willow Kane, right? The grieving noble, self-sacrificing nurse turned politician. The woman who stepped up when Drew was incapacitated. Yeah, about that. Because what just went down at the inauguration ceremony isn't just a scandal. It's a nuclear detonation. And I'm just here trying to type it all out before the editors start screaming for copy, but my hands are literally shaking. Because you don't see this kind of thing every day. Even in Port Charles. Even with the Cassidines and the mob wars and the weather machine nonsense from the ADS. This was personal. This was visceral. And it was messy. Let's back up. Just a little bit. Because context is everything, and right now the context is that we were all played. Every single one of us. The voters, the press, the Quartermains, and especially Nina Reeves. But we'll get to her. God, will we get to her. So the scene is set right, it's the big day. Willow Kane is being sworn in to take over Drew's congressional seat. The narrative was perfect. The tragic hero Drew Kane shot down in his prime, left in a locked-in state, unable to serve. And who steps into the void? The angel. Willow. She's up there on the podium looking immaculate. You know the look. Modest dress hair perfectly waved, that expression of humble determination. She's talking about service and legacy, and honoring Drew's vision. And the crowd is eating it up. I was eating it up. I was literally writing a headline about the new face of hope in my notebook. I feel like an idiot now. We all do. But here is the thing about Port Charles. Nothing stays buried. And apparently neither does Drew Kane. So Willow is mid-sentence. She's talking about the heavy burden of leadership. And suddenly there's a noise from the back of the hall. A heavy door slamming. Heads turn. People are annoyed. Who interrupts a congresswoman swearing in? Security starts moving. And then, silence. Absolute dead silence. Because walking down the center aisle isn't a heckler. It isn't a drunk. It's Drew. Drew Kane. The man who is supposed to be paralyzed. The man who is supposed to be trapped in his own body communicating with blinks or whatever the latest medical update said. But he's not blinking. He's walking. He's striding. And he looks furious. Not the shouting kind of furious. The quiet, terrifying kind. The kind that makes the air leave the room. And Willow, I wish you could have seen her face. I really do. It wasn't just shock. It was terror. Pure, unadulterated terror. The color didn't just drain from her face. It vanished. She looked like a ghost. She gripped the podium so hard I thought the wood would snap. Because she knew. In that split second, she knew exactly what was happening. And she knew it was over. Drew gets to the stage. He doesn't rush. He takes the stairs one by one. The security guards, they don't know what to do. Do you tackle the guy whose seat is being filled? Do you tackle a war hero? They just froze. We all froze. And Drew walks right up to the microphone, gently moves Willow aside. She didn't resist, she couldn't move, and he leans in. And he doesn't yell, he just speaks. I think he says, his voice raspy but steady, that there has been a misunderstanding about my condition. And then he drops the bomb. The real bomb. Not the political one. The criminal one. He pulls a vial out of his pocket. Just a small glass vial. And he holds it up. The lights catch it. Everyone is staring at this little bottle. And Drew starts talking about care. He talks about how Willow has been so attentive these past few weeks. How she's been visiting him. Administering his medication personally. 'Cause she's a nurse, right? She knows best. She wanted to make sure he was comfortable. But here is the kicker. Here is the part that makes your stomach turn. Drew tells the room live on camera that Willow wasn't giving him medicine to help him recover. She was giving him a paralytic. A specific cocktail designed to keep him locked in. To keep him conscious but immobile. To keep him out of the way so she could take his seat. The room gasped. I know that's a cliche, the room gasped, but they did. It was a collective intake of breath that sucked the oxygen out of the hall. But wait, it gets better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Because Willow, she starts stammering. She's trying to find a defense. He's confused, she says. It's the trauma. He doesn't know what he's saying. She's looking around, eyes wild, looking for an ally. Looking for Michael, maybe, or Nina, but nobody is moving. Because Drew isn't done. You thought I was paralyzed, Drew says. And he turns to look at her. You thought the drugs were working. But they weren't. Because I switched them. And that's the moment the floor dropped out. Drew explains right there that he had suspected something was wrong. He felt his body fighting something that wasn't the injury. So he managed, God knows how, maybe that SEAL training never really leaves you, he managed to swap the vials. For weeks. Weeks. Willow has been injecting him with vitamins. B2000. Salin. Whatever she could get her hands on that looked like the drug. She thought she was keeping him a prisoner in his own flesh. She thought she was the warden. But she was just giving him supplements. She was nursing him back to health while thinking she was destroying him. The irony is so thick you could choke on it. So every time she visited him, every time she whispered her plans to him, while she thought he couldn't move, he heard her. He was getting stronger. He was waiting. Waiting for this exact moment. The inauguration. The maximum audience. The point of no return. And then the police moved in. It was swift. You could see the commissioner signaling. They didn't want a scene, but they had no choice. Willow came, the congresswoman-elect, the face of hope, was read her rights on the stage. She tried to pull away. She was crying now. Not the pretty tears. Ugly panicked sobbing. Screaming that it was a mistake. Screaming that she did it for the greater good or some nonsense. But nobody was listening. The cuffs clicked. That sound. It echoed. And you know who I was watching? I wasn't watching Willow. I wasn't even watching Drew anymore. I was watching Nina Reeves. Nina. Poor Nina. She was in the front row. Dressed to the nines. Beaming with pride. This was her victory too, right? Her daughter, the congresswoman. The validation she's craved for years. And to watch it crumble. To watch her daughter be exposed. Not just as a fraud, but as a monster. A woman who would drug a recovering man to steal his power. It broke her. You could see it happen in real time. She stood up, hand over her mouth, shaking her head. No, she was mouthing. No, Willow, tell them. Tell them it's not true. But Willow couldn't tell them. Because it was true. And when Willow looked at Nina, there was no comfort there. Just shame. And maybe a little bit of blame. Who knows with these people? Nina collapsed back into her chair as they dragged Willow out. She looked small. Defeated. And you have to wonder, right? You have to wonder what this does to a person. To find your child, to fight for a relationship, and then to realize that the apple might be rotten to the core. Or maybe she's thinking about the enemies she made to get here. The bridges she burned. All for this. A daughter in handcuffs, and a family name in the mud. And let's not forget the shadow player. Jen Sidwell. Drew didn't mention him by name on the mic, but we know. If you've been paying attention to the whispers, you know. Sidwell needed that seat. He needed a puppet in Congress. Willow was that puppet. Whether she knew the full extent or not, she was the key. And Drew, he just snapped the key in half. Sidwell's plan, whatever it was, arms deals, land grabs, immunity, it's dead in the water. The police will be looking at everything now. Willow's communications, her finances, her donors. If Sidwell was banking on her, he just lost his investment. And guys like Sidwell, they don't take losses well. I wouldn't want to be Willow Kane in a jail cell tonight. And I wouldn't want to be anyone associated with her. So here we are. The bunting is being torn down. The janitors are sweeping up the confetti that never got launched. The press is scrambling to rewrite their stories. Hero to villain in 60 seconds. The vitamin switch. Drew Kane's revenge. The headlines write themselves. But underneath it all, it's just sad, isn't it? It's just another tragedy in a town built on them. I saw Drew walking out a few minutes ago. He didn't look happy. He didn't look triumphant. He looked exhausted. He looked like a man who just had to cut a cancer out of his own life. He stopped for a second, looked at the empty stage, and just shook his head. Then he walked out into the rain. And Willow, she's gone. Booking, fingerprints, mugshot, the whole 9 yards. From the Capitol to the cell block. And Nina is still sitting there. I think she's still there. Just staring at the empty podium. Nobody has the heart to tell her to leave. Or maybe nobody wants to get close enough to the blast zone. It's a mess, folks. A total unmitigated disaster. And I have to file this story in 20 minutes. I don't even know how to end it. Maybe there is no end. Maybe this is just the start of the next nightmare. Because if Willow was capable of this, of looking a man in the eye and paralyzing him while smiling, what else has she done? What else are we going to find out? And what is Sidwell going to do now that his cover is blown? I need more coffee. And maybe something stronger. Because tomorrow is going to be hell. But for now, just know this. Drew Kane is back. For real this time. And Willow Kane is done. Stick a fork in her. And me, I'm just the guy typing it all down, wondering why anyone lives in this town. Seriously. Why do we stay? Maybe because we can't look away. Just like today. We couldn't look away. Alright, hitting send. God help us all.